Thiago, will he be filling the Scholes role for Moyes boys next season? Is Higuain still edging towards the Emirates? And will Isco be joining Ancelotti at Real Madrid? Joining me are former Celtic, West Ham and Arsenal striker John Hartson and international football writer Peter Staunton. I'm James Richardson, this is Transfer Talk. Pete, first thing we want to know today is Thiago Alcantara going to Manchester United?
It's up in the air at the moment, James. There was a meeting on Friday between the Barcelona president, Sandro Rosell, and Thiago's father, Mazinho, who won the World Cup with Brazil in 1994. Basically, what the Thiago camp are looking for is guarantees. Guarantees on first-team football, his status within the squad, because after impressing, at the Under-21 Championships for Spain, he wants to make that World Cup squad, and he doesn't believe if he can do so while his path in the first team is blocked by the type of players that are already at Barcelona.
Well, again, he's a fantastic player. I think his stock has gone up as well after having had a fantastic Euros, Under-21 Euros for Spain. But the problem I see, if he stays at Barcelona, wanting to push on, is that he has to break that fantastic four, if you like, of Xavi, Iniesta, Fabregas, who doesn't get as much game time as he would like, and Busquets. If he went to Manchester United, he would definitely play a lot more. He'd get a lot more game time, simply because they'd pay a lot of money for him and he'd be a massive player for them.
But his people aren't returning United's calls anymore.
Yeah, seemingly United had been in contact with Camp Thiago over the past couple of weeks, but the line has all of a sudden gone cold, which you can only take to mean that negotiations presumably went pretty well between Mazinho and Rosell, and they have now the guarantees that they're looking for to get him on the field more regularly for Barcelona.
All right, so it'll be new camp, Thiago, indeed. Now, Arsenal, your old lot, giddy times there for Arsene Wenger and co, ready to splash the cash as rarely before. A lot of talk that Gonzalo Higuain is going to be their man next summer, and one or two other players as well. Fellaini's been out there. Are they players that you see fitting in well at the Emirates?
Well, definitely, and I think the problem Arsene Wenger has had, really, and the fans don't seem to see this, is that any player that Arsene Wenger looks at, he wants them to be better players or of equal value players as what he already has. He doesn't want to spend big money, pay big wages on mediocre players. He doesn't want to do that. And if it means in bringing in younger players and blooding them and working with them on the training ground, making them better players, that seems to be in the route that Arsene has gone. But when you look at Fellaini, a fantastic midfielder, great presence, strength, a goal scorer from midfield, can defend, can attack, wonderful threat from set pieces. He's an Arsenal type of player for me. I think he'd be fantastic for Arsenal. Would Fellaini. In terms of Higuain, frustrating time last year, so I just feel at a good age, Higuain would come in, he'd be a hero to the crowd, wonderful talent, and I think he's at a stage in his career, Higuain, where he'd want to go to Arsenal and settle, and I think he would get lots and lots of goals. So I think that would be a great signing also.
All right, the other club that were in for Higuain were Juventus, who possibly because of Arsenal's interest have really gone big on the Tevez thing, and that looks like that might finally go through now. As regards the Fellaini story, though, that's been around for a while. Why has there not been any movement on it? Well,
a few weeks ago, Arsenal had a bid accepted by Everton, more or less. I mean, they met the buyout in his contract, so Everton were they had no choice really but to let Arsenal speak to the player. Now, indications are that Arsenal made an offer to Fellaini. He's on a contract worth about £75,000 a week at Everton, and they actually went under that. They offered him £70,000 in their opening offer. Now, the indications so far are that Fellaini would go to Arsenal, wants to play for them. So I think Arsenal will be back to negotiation as far as he goes. And terms agreed also with Higuain, but of course, as you were saying, the problem there is that Juventus have also reportedly agreed terms with Higuain. So a bidding war, it could happen. I don't know if Arsene Wenger want to get tied up in that one. So.
Well, I think what Arsenal are at a situation now, they've not really gone big on players in recent years. Certainly the supporters want them to go, and there's reportedly money there. They want them to go and get some big players, and for me, they don't come any bigger than Fellaini and Higuain.
Now, moving along, if Everton do manage to shift off Fellaini down to North London, that would give them the money they need for Victor Wanyama the hot Celtic defensive midfielder who's on everyone's lips.
Yeah, he's caught a lot of eyes, hasn't he, Victor, in the last year or so. His performances in the Champions League, especially against Barcelona, really put him on a lot of people's radar.
Well, again, he's the type of player that any team would want, really. He's very disciplined, he's a good size, good athlete, young. He's not going to. His representatives have told Celtic he's not going to sign a new contract. With a year left on his deal, £10 million is a fantastic sum of money. And I know there'd be quite a few clubs wanting his signature. It's reported at Southampton. But I think, with all due respect to Southampton, what can Southampton achieve next season in terms of, staying in the Premier League is a good season for them. I think Wanyama's a better player than that, and he should certainly, aim his sights a lot higher than Southampton. And if he can get to an Everton or a club somewhere of that middle pack, if you like, not too sure whether any of the top four would go for him, but he's a top player, and he's given Celtic good service. He's been wonderful for them.
Brilliant. Now, the last few days have seen some movement managerially speaking. Paris Saint-Germain finally found themselves a manager. It was Laurent Blanc, who was pretty much the last man standing when the music stopped. And Real Madrid have now confirmed Carlo Ancelotti. Does this mean, Pete, that we're going to see a flurry of transfer deals rubber-stamped by the new men in charge?
Well, earlier on this week, Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid, said they wanted to have their managerial announcement in place before they would move on and start announcing their signings. So now that Ancelotti has been confirmed at Santiago Bernabeu, there is every chance that over the upcoming days we can see Real Madrid, give us that grand ceremony that they usually do with their big signings, where the Bernabeu is full and there's somebody doing kick-ups on the field.
Who's it going to be? Who's the big signing going to be?
It looks like it's going to be Isco. Now, I know this time last week we said that it's better for his career, probably, if he goes to Manchester City, works with Pellegrini, gets the first-team football that he needs there, because Madrid can sometimes be a bit of a black hole for young Spanish talent. But it looks like he's made up his mind. He wants to join Madrid. Madrid want him, and a deal with Malaga looks close. A deal with the player looks close, and I think once he comes back from his holidays in Ibiza, you're looking at Real Madrid's superstar signing of the summer.
Does that mean consequentially that Gareth Bale definitely won't be going to Real Madrid?
I don't believe he will go this summer. I think the deal would have been done. It would have been announced by now, generally, if normally it's done by now, isn't it, in general circumstances. But, the word coming out of Tottenham Hotspur is that Gareth won't be going anywhere this season. I think he seems quite happy to stay for a year. And maybe we'll have this conversation again in 12 months' time. Everybody's got their view, and certainly I have, in terms of the reasons why I think he should join Real Madrid. But if Gareth wants to stay for one more...
Why do you think he should join Real Madrid?
Well, I think it's one of the biggest clubs in the world. They predominantly in the mix for trophies. I think that derby with Barcelona is a game that any player would love to be involved in. The crowd, just to put on that white famous shirt of Real Madrid as well, and... I think if you get an opportunity as a player, certainly I was never good enough to go to a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. Gareth certainly is. He's on everybody's lips. He's one of the most sought-after players in the world. He's just off the best season of his life. And personally, if I was Gareth, all right, that's fine. Stay another season at Spurs, but certainly next season he has to go and really, really try and play for these magnificent football clubs, which he will do, no doubt, get the opportunity.
Well, that's almost it for this transfer talk, but not before we get your questions in added time. John, we'll start with you. Ed Chapman on Facebook wants to know, will Man United miss out on big signings because David Moyes is in charge?
I don't think so. I think he'd have had assurances from the board before he left Everton. I think Manchester United are a very wealthy club, and I'm sure he'll have his eye on one or two players, so I don't think that would be an issue at all. If he wanted a certain player, I think they'd go and get him.
Pete, Come On You Spurs 2013 on YouTube, wants to know what's up with Porto striker Jackson Martinez and a move to White Hart Lane.
Andre Villas-Boas this week said there's no interest in Martinez and he's not signing for Spurs. So if Spurs fans are looking for a striking target, they're going to have to look elsewhere because he's not leaving Porto this summer. All
right, last one then for both of you from Detonate on Twitter. Yes or no, is Gareth Bale worth 85 million?
He's worth what anyone is willing to pay for him.
Today's market, yes, I would say he is.
That's it then for this week's show. If you enjoyed it, do subscribe. And if you have any questions for next week's Added Time, just leave them on Facebook, YouTube or Twitter.